Welcome back, you guys. This is your girl, Wicked Raider 22, coming to you from one of my accounts. And actually, this has been one of the most interesting pulls that I have had so far. As you guys know, last week we had Clan v Clan. We ended up qualifying for the event. Oh, I'm so proud of my team. We were extremely successful, ended up winning, went in after having collected so many shards. And from one of the shards, I lucked up and pulled Vergis. And so went in to YouTube, started looking for videos. I didn't find very many on this champion, actually. And I know he's been around for a little bit. He's actually had a redo as far as skills as well, a bit ago before I started playing. So I did find that out. But I wanted to do a little in-depth dive on Vergis. Keep in mind, guys, this is one of my early accounts that I actually just started. So only at level 17 on this one, actually. And so don't let the build, please don't talk about the gear too bad. We are most certainly working with what we have available, which is not very much. But for a level 17 account, this guy is all about the armor. I will go ahead and date myself. I mean, he's almost giving me like, I don't know, like what is this? Not Transformer feel, almost like the Transformer-ish, but I mean, from head to toe, aesthetically, this guy looks pretty good. So let's start with reviews. And hey, across the board, except for Spider's Den, Fire Knight's Castle, Burgess is actually pretty nicely rated. So let's look at this kit. He is a defense epic champion. So I'm not looking for him to do a whole lot of damage, but I am certainly looking for some support. I'm thinking, especially for an account that is this young. I mean, if you guys take a look, we still have Kale at level 30, and that was our starting champion. So to have Burgess as a good support, it will definitely help in the areas of dungeons is what I'm thinking first. So that's probably where I'm going to push him first as well. So taking a look at skills, he has Pierce, level 1. It attacks one enemy, has a 40% chance of placing a 30% reflect damage buff on on a random ally for 2 turns. And of course, he's defense based, which means he's going to be a little bit tankier than most of your champions are coming. He doesn't require a lot of books, so I can certainly appreciate that. You have the opportunity to increase damage by 10% and can also increase your buff debuff chance by 10% as well. It's nice to have reflect damage. And I'll be honest, for the longest, what technically what a champion was actually doing, without seeing them, just being able to kind of read over and get into the kits. It has taken me a couple of weeks to start wrapping my head around the possibilities with so many champions, because you have champions that are instant favorites by the community and others that really have to grow on you. And you have some champions that, of course, are extremely niche champions. But I found that all of them definitely serve a purpose. Really got excited on this one. Aegis, which can be placed on a 3-turn cooldown, places a 15% continuous heal buff, a 30% increased speed buff, and a 30% reflect damage buff on a target ally for 3 turns. Guys, the first part of this skill set alone is enough to get you excited. And this is on a 3-turn cooldown. So this is something that he can throw out repeatedly. And for a young team that is trying to really focus in on progression, that is trying to start building out that great haul, this can be a really, really great helper. This skill will also place a 50% ally protection buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. Places a 60% increased defense buff on this champion for 2 turns. Amazing. So I'm loving the second skill. I'm really feeling the second skill. The one thing that I know as I acquire better gear on this particular account, my number one goal is to increase his HP Of course, increase the defense because I want him to be the one that's taking all that damage away from other champions to give them more time and ability to use their skills. And there are some areas within dungeon. A lot of you guys, once you make it to levels 10 to 15, if you're in like Minotaur's Labyrinth, you're thinking about Ice Golem, even Spider's Den, you tend to really slow down and kind of get bogged down somewhere between stage 10 and stage 15. The requirement for your champions is also pretty different as well. But everyone talks about the passive second wind. This can be placed on a 1 turn cooldown. 1 turn, y'all. So, passive effect, he places a shield buff on this champion equal to 10% of their max HP for 2 turns. Whenever this champion loses 10% or more of their max HP from a single hit, the key is going to be single hit. The active effect, though, is he places a 15% continuous heal on this champion for 2 turns every time their HP drops below 50%. There is a lot of support. There's a lot of support through adding continuous heal. There's a lot of support with the shields that have been placed. This guy should be an amazing, amazing supporter of your team. You're also looking for the aura, which is going to increase and work on defense in dungeons. And when you're thinking about blessings for this type of champion, anything that allows me to go in and just better support or provide additional protection. You will often have even your nukers in the early stage, if you haven't had a chance to master them out, keeping them alive. There are certain attack champions I love, but I've always struggled just simply keeping them alive within a battle. And so that's going to be another area you will certainly want to focus at. This is definitely a guy that I would master out. I mean, his base HP isn't the most amazing, but you can definitely build it even with the simple artifacts we pulled so far. I've been really trying to limit myself to, getting rid of those 1-2 star artifacts. That's something that I sell each time I go in to outfit my champions, and just kind of seeing what he can and can't do. So I'm going to run them through. I am still really early campaign, and I'll talk in another video, guys, about why it takes me so long to go through the sections of campaign. I've kind of mentioned it on videos before, but you will notice as I go through, I run all of my stages twice up front. That is one thing that I will do. And it's kind of twofold. It allows me to see champions in action, get a feel for what they do. And it also allows me the opportunity to go in and to build and reconfigure champions. And so that way, as I'm progressing and going to higher stages, I usually perform a lot better. It's just something I've learned after running a couple of accounts. I also get the question, why do people have more than one account? And I'll be honest, you're exposed to so many more champions. So if you have a pay to play account, I highly recommend, going back and signing up for a free to play. It definitely makes a difference. So if you look here, attack wise, he's going to hold his own. Now, Vergis will throw out some 2, 4, maybe 5,000, attack point hits. He is going to have that defense there, but it's here. This is where my boy is doing most of his work. So absorbing some of that damage that normally your lead champion would run into and just kind of using it there. These areas of campaign are usually pretty easy. I can go through normal mode pretty quickly. I go back and run it a second time and add in my other 2 support champions. But for all of my additional accounts, what I try to do is really stick to the rules. I select my first 2 champions of focus. I expand it out to 4, and those are the 4 champions I will equip with gear. Those are the 4 champions that I level up first. All of my focus is 100% going to those 4 champions, and it's worked out really well for me. With a champion like Vergis, when you receive him, he's coming in 4-star off top. So as an epic, probably one of my epics that I'm most excited about. If for all of my new account people, your first epic and honestly your first legendary For some reason, there have been moments when you get extremely lucky. There is nothing like pulling a really good, solid champion right around that stage, that level 15 or 25 of your account. It can definitely change your gameplay. It's going to change your strategy as well. Now with Vergis, I will be going back and running through a couple of keeps. I know he does spirit affinity, so I definitely want to ascend him so I can unlock his aura. That's going to be the next focus of mine, is making sure we have enough potions to make that happen. And after that, just pushing forward until I can definitely get the forge open. It's nice to do faction wars. I know a lot of times people will ask, like, what's the point? I can't forge yet. Guys, if you can go on faction crypt and even unlock 1, 2, or 3 stages, I would run those 2 or 3 every time they open until I'm able to move further up. Having those, having, oh, how do you put it? I guess having all of the ingredients that you're going to need later on for some of the best gear in the game is really going to change the way you play. The other area that you will hear me talk about quite a bit is don't skip arena. Building out your great hall is a number 1 goal. And once you start seeing the difference in your champions, once you start encountering other champions, it will definitely explain to you why this is important. And so you guys have seen him run a couple of times. My boy puts out quite a bit of damage. I will definitely come back and probably revisit Vergis on a secondary video once I'm able to unlock a few extra areas. I'm excited to see, honestly, what he'll do in Doom Tower. That's kind of interesting in those first few levels. The other thing I'm kind of thinking about, faction war wise, I think progression with him will be a lot easier. He almost gives you the feel of maybe Ultimate Death Knight is kind of who he reminds me of, being able to absorb that damage. Um, Being a good support champion for your other allies, because you guys can see, Kale is going to start kind of struggling, having a hard time. And we're right at the end here. He may actually die on this particular stage. So, I mean, just being able to go through, I'm preparing to upgrade Kale to a 4-star. It's going to be my next goal. But I've got to run some other food champions through to level them up, of course. And so, even when you're seeing how synergistic these two are together, I think they could really serve one another well, especially once I'm able to run through Minotaur's Labyrinth, get a couple of scrolls on these guys. Something else I do quite a bit, and this is another question that I definitely run into, is I spend a lot of time up front running Minotaur's Labyrinth. On my first account, my second account, I wasn't really aware of the difference that scrolls made. And once I got into scrolls and what they could do, now that we've unlocked the market at level 18, that's when I really started seeing the difference within my account. So I could see the difference that it made with champions that had scrolls applied and those that didn't. Do I always go out and fully master every single champion? The answer is no, because it takes roughly 800 gems if you just want to go in and purchase it. If you are running battles, honestly, I can't even tell you how many battles I probably ran, and I only have so far. I don't think I have a champion that is fully mastered out just yet. And when I say running multi battles, I run at least 40 to 60 battles per day just in Minotaur's Labyrinth. So as you go down the list, you start seeing that some of those skill areas take 200 scrolls. So it's going to make a definite difference. And you start getting better gear. So that's going to make a difference. Now, we managed to go through Durham Forest through this video. That's what you guys just saw me go through. And so now I'll go back and I'll run some other champions through this area. But when I tell you guys, by far, Vergis has definitely been a pool that I've gotten excited about. Right now, I just have them in lifesteal gear and, of course, life gear. It's just what we had available. You can go ahead and put on an artifact if you're lucky enough to have one. But this is a champion that will definitely be a part of my upcoming teams as we're going through. So tell me, have you guys pulled anyone in the last week or so who was your first epic champion and who's your first legendary champion? And this is before I have the opportunity to earn Ultimate Death Knight on this account. What I will get excited about is once I have Ultimate Death Knight, I think I'm one login away. Having these two on the team together and seeing what that does for dungeons is going to be really excited. So we'll follow it up. If you stay with me for this long, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're still putting out content every Monday through Friday. So getting back on track Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Just getting the information out there. There are some events coming up at the end of this month. So be mindful of your silver, be mindful of your gems. If you don't have a clan, guys, hey, I have space that is becoming available. So 22WK, join the clan, join the fun, and stay active. And I'll talk to you guys soon.